Hello and welcome to my channel. I went to lose gaming. Have you been mindlessly swinging Raiden's pretty sword around? Have you been wondering what the best combos for Raiden's secret art, Musou Shinsetsu, are? Well, hopefully this video will help you master the way of the Shogun. MiHoYo is great at designing characters that are more complex than meets the eye, and the third Archon, the Raiden Shogun, is no exception to that. As with any combo video, there is some terminology, and don't worry, you don't need to learn regex just to understand it. You just have to sit through a couple boring minutes of terminology. First are her normal attacks. Whether she's in her polearm mode or secret art Musou Shinsetsu, has 5 hits to her normal attack. A normal attack is indicated by the letter N. For example, N1 is doing just the first part of Raiden's normal attack. N3 is doing the first 3 inputs of her normal attack. N5 is doing all 5 hits of her normal attack. The next thing to note is C. C stands for charge attack, and is done by pressing and holding the normal attack button. C must always come after a normal attack. N1C is done by simply pressing and holding the left mouse button. N3C is doing 3 normal attacks into a charge attack. Next, we have 2 ways to shave off some frames and recover more quickly. The first is to dash cancel. Dash cancel is indicated by the letter D. N1CD is normal attack 1, charge attack, dash cancel. Alternatively, we have jump cancels, which are indicated by J. N1CJ is normal attack 1, charge attack, jump cancel. A really important thing to note about animation canceling Raiden's charge attack during her burst is that dashing or jumping too early can snuff one or both hits of her charge attack. As such, you need to time the dash or jump cancel right when the second hit of her charge attack comes out. And finally, we have this times sign. N1CD times 3 is to do normal attack 1, charge attack, dash cancel 3 times. Now let's get some of the introductory lessons on mastering the way of the Booba blade out of the way. The first thing is that you should always use her elemental skill some time before using her burst. Using E after you use Q will take precious time away from your Q, and also lower your first Q/'s damage. Raiden's burst lasts for 7 seconds, and the goal of this video is to output the most skill multiplier during those 7 seconds. What is skill multiplier? Surprisingly, a lot of you always ask this in the comment section, so I'll show you really quick. In the character page under talents, if you click on her burst, you can see these percents. These percents indicate how much damage her skill does. Also, Raiden's basic attack talent level does not affect how much her burst normal attacks do. Now, I won't go into too much detail into resolve, but basically, the more this ring around her is full of Christmas lights, the more resolve you have. Each point of resolve adds skill multiplier to her initial slash, 6.22% per resolve for my Raiden at talent level 8, and 1.16% skill multiplier to each hit on her basic attacks during her burst. For example, with 60 resolve, her burst will do 641% plus 60 times 6.22%, which ends up being 1014.8% skill damage. Meanwhile, her N1 will do 70.66% plus 60 times 1.16%, which ends up being 140.26% damage. Also, to clarify, for multi-hit parts of her normal attack, like her N4 and charge attack, the 60 stacks of resolve is added to each hit. Whew, okay, that was a lot of stuff just to get to the meat and potatoes of this video. Luckily, the Cryo Regisvine has graciously volunteered like it always does. Let's start with just mashing the left mouse button. By mashing the left mouse button, we can get 2 N5 combos in, and for the third normal attack combo, usually the 5th hit will lose the Electro Infusion. At 60 resolve, this outputs 2385% skill multiplier, not including the initial Q slash. So that's cool and all, but considering this is our first test, we have no idea if this is good or not. Let's try dash cancelling the last hit in the previous example. By doing N5D, we're able to get 3 full normal attack 5 combos in, saving enough time by dash cancelling to infuse the last hit of her third normal attack combo. This leads to 2571% skill multiplier, a modest 8% increase to her burst infusion sword damage. Now let's try just spamming her charge attack. We're able to get 5 fully infused charge attacks during her burst. This ends up being 2471% total skill multiplier, surprisingly worse than the previous N5D times 3 combo, but 4% better than just mashing the left mouse button. However, it's fairly obvious that Raiden's charge attack has a lot of N lag, so let's try animation cancelling it. For this N1CD combo, we're able to get 5 normal attack 1 charge attack dashes in. However, after the 5th dash, we are completely out of stamina and cannot do any more charge attacks. As such, the 6th attack ends up being just a simple N2 to squeeze out a little bit of extra damage. This leads to a 2750% skill multiplier, which is a nice 15% increase to her damage, but at the cost of all her stamina. Is there a way we can save a bit of stamina in the last combo to squeeze out the final charge attack? Why, yes, there is. We can do 4 N1CDs, then do a jump cancel for the 5th N1C, and this in turn allows us to save just enough stamina to squeeze out the 6th charge attack. This leads to an impressive 2965% skill damage, which is a 24% increase to her damage. But there's a big problem with charge attack spam, and that is you burn all your stamina for it. Do we have any other high damage and more stamina friendly options? Yes, we do. Introducing the N3CD times 3 N1C combo. By doing normal attack 3, charge attack dash a total of 3 times, this leaves us with just enough time at the end of Raiden's burst to squeeze in an extra normal attack 1 charge attack. This leads to 2858% skill multiplier, which is only 4 percentage points less than the previous combo, and leaves us with a lot more stamina, and frankly is a lot easier to do. Now, someone managed to do an extra N2C at the end, but since I was never able to pull that off, it's going to be considered an impractical combo. Speaking of impractical but interesting combos, did you know that unlike Child, Raiden in her burst form can do plunge attacks? Funnily enough, if you're able to get the plunge hitbox to connect, this can lead to 3047% skill multiplier. Not recommended, but interesting to know. So let me give you a breakdown of what I personally recommend in terms of Raiden's combos. Looking at this full chart, we have a few standout contenders. The first being just mashing LMB. This is the most Unga Boonga playstyle, and frankly, it doesn't do that much less damage. So if you're feeling lazy, or you just prefer not having to think about your damage output, mashing normal attacks performs surprisingly well. Next, if you want to squeeze out every last bit of damage, N1CD times 4, N1CJ, N1C is the highest damage by a few percentage points. However, I will say that it's rather challenging to get the 6 charge attack out. In terms of what combo I recommend the N3CD times 3 into N1C. This is far more reliable to pull off than the 6 normal attack 1 charge attack combos, and it leaves you with a lot more stamina, and it only does a few percentage points less. Now that we know her worst and her best recommended combos, let's give them a try to see if we can get a noticeable difference in performance. I've set up my Raiden to do a very specific amount of damage and with 100% crit rate. Here we can see that the recommended combo managed to take out the Cryo Registine, while the Unga Boonga combo did not. You may look at this and notice that the N3CD combo, the recommended combo, definitely felt like less than 20% more damage as the chart indicated earlier, so let's take a look at why that's the case. If we include her Q's damage in here as well, then the gap shrinks to only a 14% increase. And if we include her E damage, which I did not include in this chart because it scales completely differently, this gap shrinks even more. But nonetheless, this is a demonstration of how her combo game can improve her damage output. The next concept I want to talk about is burst extension, and how Raiden's burst's cooldown works. Raiden's burst has an 18-second cooldown and a 7-second infusion window. You might look at this and think, oh, this means that she has 11 seconds of downtime. However, this cooldown begins the moment you press Q. So once the Booba Blade animation ends, you'll notice that instead of starting at 18 seconds, it starts at 16.5 seconds. And also, what happens if you use an attack at the end of her burst, right when her burst expires? Does the attack get converted back into a normal attack? It keeps the burst version of the attack. As such, if you can register her long animation charge attack right at the end of her burst's duration, this effectively gives you an entire charge attack worth of time and damage to her burst. In the previous clips versus the Cryo Registine, we can see that the Unga Boonga combo's last electro damage was at the 938 mark. However, the recommended combo's last electro damage instance from the charge attack was at 10 seconds and 8 frames mark, which is half a second longer. Looking at the cooldowns on each of them, this also checks out, with the Unga Boonga combo being at 8.3 seconds of cooldown and the recommended combo at 7.8 seconds. So we've effectively extended the duration of her burst by 0.5 seconds by snapping her last charge attack as the burst version of her charge attack. And that brings me to the final point of Raiden's kit. Her downtime is surprisingly low, especially if you manage to snap a charge attack at the very end of it. So what combo do you plan to use and plan to try after watching this video? Let me know in the comments below. I know I didn't cover combos with the Skyward Spine because frankly this already is a ton of information. So if any of you Skyward Spine owners want to poke around and see what extra attacks you can squeeze in, that's awesome. Also, I regularly make Genshin Impact videos ranging from Caesar showcases, DPS showdowns, guide videos, and more. So be sure to smash the subscribe button as it's the best and easiest way for you to support my work. Also, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. This is I Win to Lose, signing out.